In the car, Lucas never felt a thing, but his bodyguards felt a chill down their spine. One of them said, "Sir, I don't think Ted York is as simple as he looks. You have to be careful." Lucas simply laughed coolly. "So what if he isn't? What can he do to me? Hell, there are many people in Melville who hate me. But I'm alive and kicking, aren't I? And what could that prick do to me, when he doesn't know anything aside from medicine?" Neither bodyguard dared to say a word. Seeing how conceited Lucas was, however, they felt the creeps even as they remembered the sensation, as if a viper was leering at them, and even now, they hoped that they had merely imagined it. Lucas, who was completely oblivious, remained gleeful. "Ha! And the old man in the white family put it as if Ted York is beyond reach or something, but I got him good, didn't I? The way I see it, those geezers are just being too nice. He's a complete pushover, and handling him couldn't be easier. It's Melville, so his wife's company has to respect my family. Even if he doesn't care about that or money, doesn't he want to stay alive? Ha! Just a couple of threats and he caved. Talk about a nothing burger." As he finished, he glanced at a magazine nearby. With Luna's charming appearance on the cover, he had certainly heard about the beautiful girl boss long ago. "So, don't you guys think Luna will have to obey me if I tell her I'm interested? Haha. Ted York is such a lucky dog. Getting such a beautiful, successful wife. I honestly envy him. Hell, if I didn't have a use for him, I'd be onto her right now." The two bodyguards were long since accustomed to his behavior, as the Grahams were virtually the top dogs of Melville, and it made sense that Lucas grew to become so unruly. They were still on the way back, and he already could not wait to call his father ahead to deliver the good news. While his father John was still racking his brains on how to ask for Ted's help, he had quietly gotten it done. How great a shock would it be? Meanwhile, John Graham was in his own villa. Despite being a man who could quake Melville with a stamp of his feet, he was sitting quietly by his wife's bed, holding her hand while his heart ached. The room was filled with the scent of medicine, while Tricia was virtually just skin and bones. A horrible sight. John was no better, as his heart bled with Tricia's declining health and need for painkillers every day. Despite his fame and ruthlessness, he loved his wife to the bone. Freddie, his butler, entered the room just then. "Sir? Master Lucas just called, saying that he has a surprise for you and your wife." Freddie had served John for years, earning him a high position in the family, and his loyalty was above question. Still, John frowned and rasped, "Surprise, you say? What's he up to this time? What can that fool do other than cause trouble?" Freddie sighed and said softly, "He's being serious, judging from his tone, and it might really be a good one this time." John did not bother to argue, however, since he never had hope for that brat. "For me, just being able to ask for Mr. York's help would be enough. Anything else wouldn't matter." "So, Freddie, have you prepared what I asked for? We have to take this visit very seriously. He stays anonymous because he doesn't want to be bothered, and we've been incredibly lucky that we were tipped off by the White family about him. Now, the question is whether we'd get him to come." Freddie nodded and said quietly, "Yes, sir, everything's ready. We've even made contact with Lunacorp. But is Ted York really as amazing as they say?" Freddie was not being skeptical. He was merely telling John not to hold out too much hope, as John had already consulted plenty of famous doctors with his wealth and influence. However, none of that worked out as such. Even this so-called miracle healer might not really help them. Mrs. It really hurt the most when one was filled with hope and found only disappointment. John understood Freddie's gesture too and stood up as he said, "I'm sure you have heard about Adam White's condition before? It was a mysterious illness too, but once Ted York helped, he quickly recovered. Miracle healers really exist, Freddie, they just don't like to brag about it. And since there's hope, we naturally have to give it our best shot. It's still better than doing nothing, right? Now go and start preparing. I'll personally visit Mr. York and ask him to save my wife." As he finished, tears welled out of his eyes and down his cheeks. If the worst happens to her, I don't know if I could live on." Freddie sighed softly and turned. He had seen how John and Tricia's love began, and it was a love that was few and far between these days. Still, just as John was about to leave, Lucas returned. "Where are you going, Dad?" Lucas asked. "I have a surprise for you." John frowned. "That can wait until I'm back. I don't have time for that nonsense right now." "Nonsense?" Lucas was at once dissatisfied. Such was his position in the family. He had not even said a word about what his surprise was, and suddenly it was nonsense. No. This time he would show John. Ignoring his father, Lucas said, "Actually, I've invited a doctor over to check on Mom. Oh, and by the way, it's that Mr. York you were talking about." John froze at the doorway at those words and turned blankly toward Lucas. What did you say? Mr. York? How did you know about him?" Seeing that reaction left Lucas endlessly thrilled, and he quickly said, "I overheard your phone call, so I decided on my own that I could invite him myself. Are you happy now, Dad? I told you it's a surprise. He's not that hard to convince, too. Once I show up, it's as good as done." John was certainly delighted for a moment, only to soon feel dizzy, like the world was spinning around him when he remembered what his son was like. He snapped, "You'd better tell me right now. How exactly did you invite him? Tell me every detail." Then turning toward the two bodyguards, he promptly added, "You too. Hide anything from me, and you'll get it from me." Lucas was left stunned even as he stared at his father's vicious face. While he told his father the gist of it, the two bodyguards were really afraid to hide anything at all, including how Lucas had threatened Ted. John almost had a stroke as he listened, and he slapped Lucas across the face right then, his glare murderous. "Arg! You wretch! Are you trying to kill me?" As Lucas clutched his burning cheek, he was absolutely seething. "Why did you slap me, Dad? I invited Mr. York over, didn't I? I mean, yes, I did threaten him, but he's a coward. He never dared to argue against me at all. You're all just being too nice to him." Smack! John slapped Lucas violently across the face again, shaking his rage even as he bellowed, "Freddie, get the car and tie up this wretch to throw him in the car right now. We're going to beg Mr. York for forgiveness. Move." Even though John looked like he could collapse at any moment, his eyes flared with murder and panic. He really hated himself for not strangling Lucas in his crib. Ted was packing up while John was hurrying to his villa. While he did not have that many possessions, they were not that few either. Aside from laundry, he would be taking his stationery, art tools, and art pieces. After all, those actually belonged to Ted, and he refused to take anything that was not bought with his money. However, his heart was really broken. In and around the spacious villa were the beautiful memories of his loving marriage. But though the place stayed the same, the people had changed. Ted sighed softly, but just as he picked up his luggage to leave, his phone rang. "Excuse me, is this Mr. Theodore Quill?" The mere mention of the name left Ted's eyes flashing, the air around him changing dramatically. Suddenly, he was a lofty king, and none would ever dare to meet his eyes. "You've got the wrong number. I'm not Mr. Quill." He was ready to hang up, only to be surprised when the voice on the other end chuckled. "Why, yes, you go by the name Ted York now. Oh, I mean, no offense, but I just chanced upon a painting hanging in an old friend's house, and one that's relatively new. Hee. How have you been, Mr. Quill? I mean, Mr. York. Your works remain masterpieces, and the style that seemed embedded within would definitely find its ranks among the greatest artists in history. That singular style is really something no one could imitate. Anyway, the reason I've called is just to tell you that the painting will soon be auctioned off. It was also alleged that many of your old friends will be showing up on the day of. But I wonder, wouldn't people start guessing and asking questions when such a recent piece that's clearly your work surfaces?" Ted's eyes narrowed coldly, and he asked quietly, "Out with it already. Who are you? What do you want?" "Nothing much." The voice chuckled again. "I just think it's a shame that I couldn't have the pleasure of meeting you despite hearing so much about you. And I've also run into a little trouble that I'd need your assistance for. So may I ask if you have some free time?" Ted smirked coolly in turn. "So you're threatening me? That makes you the second person to do that today. It's impressive that you'd have the balls to do that when you know who I am, so I'd really like to meet you now. But are you still brave enough to do that now? Hee. So your edge hasn't dulled, Mr. York. But since I have the audacity to call, I definitely wouldn't be afraid to meet you. So may I ask when you could make time? I'll send someone over to pick you up. Come to Melville in 2 days. Call me when your boys get here," Ted replied flatly and hung up. He was silent for a moment before suddenly bursting out in laughter, perhaps too furious or simply entertained. "Ha ha ha. What a fun day it has been. First I'm served divorce papers and then threatened. Now even my alter ego has been unraveled and threatened again. Heh. This is great." It just so happened that Wendy and Dean arrived outside and were left trading glances. "Mom, why is he laughing so much?" Dean asked uncertainty. Has he lost it because Luna divorced him? Wendy frowned. Who cares, he doesn't get to play the sympathy card. Press the bell already. I'll make him really crazy if he dares refuse to return our money. Dean nodded and pressed the bell. Ted frowned deeply right then, absolutely furious. Was there really no end to this? He was ready to snap just as he opened the door. But his temper cooled when he saw that it was Wendy and Dean. He and Luna were divorced, but he had undoubtedly treated Luna's family as his own over the years, even if they had lost their initial niceness. Still, he quickly led them inside and made them tea. What brings you here? Wendy studied Ted from head to toe and frowned. I heard you divorced Luna? Ted paused, but he soon reclined against his couch and nodded. Yeah, just signed the papers today. Holding his gaze, Wendy demanded quietly. And you have nothing to tell me? Aren't you going to explain why? Explain why? Was she not hoping for them to get a divorce the most? Why did it feel like she came to judge him instead? Nonetheless, Ted shrugged. I don't know what to say or how to explain it. All I was told was to meet her at her office, and then I was served the papers. If you need an explanation, you'll have to ask Luna herself what she thinks. Ted was being honest. Luna was the one who divorced him and he did not ask for it. But this was not the answer Wendy wanted. Even though she knew the truth, this answer simply would not do. What? She snapped, smacking the table. The way you put it, it's as if my daughter is doing you an injustice. Are you saying a man like you can't even understand why your wife would divorce you? And you still think you're righteous? If you were behaving and did nothing wrong, then tell me, why would Luna divorce you? I know Luna the best and she would never cheat. So, she wouldn't have divorced you unless you did something she couldn't forgive. So tell me, what did you actually do? Wendy's outburst made her look just like a lioness defending her cub. Anyone who did not know better would by that act on the spot and believe that she really came to defend her daughter's honor. Ted, however, frowned. He knew this family too well, or perhaps did not actually know them at all. However, there were things that had to be said. Mother, I'm just telling the truth. I've done nothing. You all know very well what I've been doing every day, and what I'm like. Aside from writing literature and making art, the only other place I frequent is the supermarket. So tell me, how could I have wronged her? As for why we're divorcing, I wouldn't know. But if you insist that she wouldn't cheat and wasn't the one who demanded a divorce, you're going to have to ask her about that, because I can swear on my conscience that I've not seen anyone ever since I married Luna. Forget cheating. I never made friends, men or women. She's the only person in my world. His conscience was undoubtedly clear, and everything he said was only factual. However, it angered Wendy nonetheless. Shut up, loser. You've already divorced my daughter. You have no right to call me mother. Loser? Had no right to call her mother? Why did Wendy not say that years ago? Even if her family was rich now, there should be a limit to how quickly she turned against him. Back then, Luna's family were bogged down by debt, and every day had been a struggle. Even their friends and relatives gave them a wide berth, terrified that they would ask for a loan. At that time, who was the one who had cleared their debts and afforded them a life where they did not have to worry about their basic necessities? One might even say that Luna's family were living in hell before, and Ted was the one who had taken them to paradise. But now? In fact, Ted never held out much hope and was just used to being respectful since they came anyway. And that respect only got him such an insult. This shall not stand. In that case, there's nothing else to say. Ted snorted. There's nothing connecting me to Luna, and it's the same for you too. This is my house. Please leave. Wendy simply laughed. Leave?
Hell no.
How despicable can you be? She snapped right then. Telling me to leave. Who do you think you are? And how dare you pretend that this house is yours? Why don't you think for a moment how much money you've ever made, loser? Can you even afford such a huge house? If anyone's leaving, it's you. This is my daughter's house, not yours. Ted chuckled. There it was. Wendy really did not disappoint, nor did the rest of her family, as they were finally baring their fangs and showing their greedy nature. And Wendy had come to chase him off and to claim every last bit of wealth. But did Ted even care about that? Never, not even once. And it certainly would not happen in the future either. In fact, when he signed the divorce papers, He had made it very clear that he would not take anything that Luna had bought with her money. Even now he was just packing his own stuff. Nevertheless, he was not the type who took everything lying down. Not everyone got to trample his dignity, exploit him, and insult him. Scoffing, he said, "Yeah, you're right, Luna did buy the house, but what about it? We're divorced and the papers clearly state that everything from the house, the car, a big wad of cash, and the restaurant are mine. Legally speaking, I own it now. Do you understand what I'm saying?" Reclining against his seat, he poured himself a cup of tea, took a sip and chuckled. "But I really don't want this crap, never did. And I've already told Luna in no uncertain terms that I don't want her so-called compensation, but she insisted on giving it to me. That begs the question. Has she changed her mind? Or is it just you two trying to claim everything for yourselves? Oh, you greedy sow. Even your manners are so sickening. I almost forgot how pathetic you were when you had begged me for scraps." Wendy was left flushing in rage by Ted's humiliating diss. Dean flew into a rage right then, bellowing, "How dare you insult my mom? I'll kill you." And with those words he charged at Ted. While Dean might fear his parents and Luna, he never feared Ted. After all, Ted had never snapped, and that made him think that Ted was an impotent loser through and through. And why would he fear such a loser? You must be kidding. However, he forgot that things were different now. When Ted signed his divorce papers, that meant he had cut all ties with the Lamberts. And he had been utterly respectful earlier. Since they refused to play nice, they only had themselves to blame for what came next. In fact, Ted was sneering as he watched Dean charge toward him, and he suddenly splashed his scalding tea all over Dean's face, leaving Dean screaming in an instant. Wendy paled and rushed up to Dean, almost dying inside as she watched boils appear across Dean's face from the scalding tea. "Ted York," she bellowed like a raging lioness. "How dare you throw tea on my son? I'll kill you. I'll definitely kill you." Ted simply shrugged and asked coolly, "Kill me? Do you have what it takes? You'd better recognize your situation. I only respected you before because I'm civilized and sentimental. But now that you've spat on my goodwill and tried to screw with me, you'd keep taking me for some pushover if I don't fight back. What, did you think I'd let you bully me? So fuck off or I'll make you." However, Wendy would deny herself before allowing herself to be intimidated by Ted. "So in the end you just want our money. Stop trying to make yourself noble. Don't take anything from us if you dare. You're nothing but a loser, and a greedy loser at that. I'll give it to you straight. You're not taking a cent from my family, or I'll kill you if that's the last thing I do." As for Dean, he was shaking with so much rage that he could kill. "I'll kill you. I'll kill you," he bellowed. "Just you wait. I'm a big deal in Melville. I'll kill you." As he kept rambling, he suddenly snapped and picked up a vase, ready to smash it over Ted's head. It would at minimum cause brain damage even if it did not kill. He really was ready to kill as he threatened. However, Ted's eyes flashed coolly as he quickly caught Dean's forearm and squeezed. Bones crushed audibly, as Ted broke his forearm in an instant. Yet another scream resounded in the room. Wendy charged at Ted in a frenzy too, hurting her son. Ted could well have killed her. However, Wendy and her potty mouth had been grating on Ted's nerves too, and smack! With one vicious slap across Wendy's face, Ted sent her spinning one full rotation before collapsing on the floor, blood foaming out of her mouth as a tooth fell out. Her disbelief then was much greater than the fiery pain on her cheek, and she shrieked, "Why, you slapped me! You piece of shit! How dare you! I'll kill you!" Snapping utterly right then, Wendy scrambled to her feet to charge at Ted, ready for blood. Ted was already full of pent-up rage even as he watched Wendy charge at him, while Dean cursed his name amid his screams of agony. Suddenly, he slammed his palm on the marble coffee table. It gave Dean and Wendy pause, as they gaped in shock while the huge coffee table cracked and fell apart. At the same time, Ted's eyes seemed bloodshot and murderous, silencing Dean and Wendy right then.